I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 6th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight shooting telithromycin injection that does exactly what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and for your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Fewer and fewer cows. If you guys haven't been paying attention over the last several years due to major droughts in some of our major cattle production areas, we have whittled and whittled and whittled on these cows, and we are well culled now. We have got a fairly young cow herd out there because we have just sold and sold and sold those cows off, and the demand for the cow meat's been good. We've luckily had good demand for pound cows, for packer cows, and for boneless beef there, but now we're running out of cows. In the last month, our cattle slaughter, and this is all classes of cattle, is 155,000 head lighter, or 5.9% lighter. That's in the last month, and we've really slacked off here of late. And year to date, our beef cow slaughter is running 20% less than last year. We had a horrible drought in Central Texas last year, another horrible drought in Central Texas this year. They are selling cattle off, but we whittled the cows down so light after last year's big drought. There's just not a lot more cows coming. And I really thought that our cow market in our auctions would be higher than what it is. It's good. Good cow in most places will bring $1.25 to $1.35 for a cow with some meat on it. High dressing cow there, but I thought they might be up to $1.50 by now, but we're not seeing that yet. I do believe that we will see that here within the next few months, but this light cow numbers are going to continue. Because whenever you got calves bringing $1,500 to $2,000 a head, you're not going to be selling a cow unless you absolutely have to. Now, some people absolutely have to, but most guys are going to try to hold on to those cows if any way possible. But hay is high. We have yet to replenish our hay stockpiles. There's some places that have plentiful amounts of hay, but there's plenty of demand to get that, and then you got freight involved, and anytime you're hauling hay or hauling water, you're kind of up against it on freight because it's nearly all freight. But we're going to continue to see these light numbers of cows to come to market. The heck of it is they can bring in import ground beef products or grinding beef products to kind of cover that, so that doesn't hurt them as much as the muscle cuts, those really high retail cuts, your prime rib, your ribs, your higher cuts of steaks. They can't bring those in as easily. They do bring some of them in from the places that feed cattle, like Canada, but for the most part, we keep most of our muscle cuts here, except for the extreme high dollar ones, and they go to Asia, but our Asian demand is down from what it was. But we are still seeing lighter numbers of beef, and it's going to keep cattle high. And guys ask me every day, how long do you think this is going to last? I think this good market, now it's going to go in ebbs and flows and things like that, but I think this good market is sure going to last at least 2 years, and likely going to last up to 3 years. But that does not mean you don't need to protect yourself on the bottom side, especially now that these LRPs are subsidized and things like that. You're crazy if you don't, especially with what these cattle are bringing right now. But I foresee maybe not too far in the future that USDA will come in and subsidize producers just to own cows, because that's what USDA is for, is to keep our food cheap. Most residents in this country and most people are jealous, and that's why our borders are getting infiltrated all the time is because we have such cheap food. And yes, food in relation to what it has always been is a lot higher right now. We've got a lot of food inflation going on, but still, compared to everything else and compared to what people make, our food is relatively cheap. That's what USDA is there for, is to keep that food cheap, and that's what keeps people the happiest. But I believe that they will probably come in and subsidize producers just to own cows so that people will have an incentive to do it, because so much of our ground is being sopped up by these conservation groups, by these hunting outfits, and a lot of those don't even allow any grazing on those deals. But they've got a lot of money, and up until lately it hasn't been real profitable to have cattle. So we're running out of places to do it, not to mention urban sprawl in places, and the horrible droughts that we've seen seems like more regular here over the last several years. But hope you guys had a good holiday weekend. I did. Made my annual pilgrimage down to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and checked out the cowboy drag race and had a good time. Saw a lot of good friends there that I don't get to see all the time, and we really had fun with some friends. And then left out of there Sunday before Labor Day, went up to Beaver, Oklahoma, Labor Day evening, gave a presentation there. It was well received, had a good crowd. Fair Peace sponsored that. Fair Peace, that revolutionary product that I talk about all the time, and they were on hand. They had a representative on there, and I learned more about Fair Peace. Hope to teach you people more about Fair Peace. It's really a revolutionary thing, and it's changing the industry. And we also learned about LRPs. We learned about livestock gross margin policies, and just had a really good evening there. And then on Tuesday at the Feeder Flash Beaver Clash Feeder Cattle Special, they had a good run of yearlings there and had a good sale, and I'm going to tell you all about that when I get to the feeder cattle portion of this report. But I was able to get up and sell several loads of yearlings up there, and I always enjoy doing that. So it was a pretty good holiday, long holiday weekend for me anyway. Let's talk about your board for Tuesday, opening the week, because Monday was closed, of course. October live cattle futures are down 20 cents at 179.95. December was down 2 cents. This is not big at all, at 184.15. Your back months were all up. Just the front two months were a little bit lower, but not enough to speak of. But back months were up, but not enough to speak of there, from 7 cents to 22 cents. Feeder cattle for September down 47 cents at 251.37. October down 35 at 254.30. Back months there were mixed, from down 17 to up 27, but not too volatile to start the week on your cattle. But corn, new crop December corn up 4.5 cents a bushel at 4.86. New crop November beans down 4.25 cents at 13.65 a bushel. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December, the heaviest traded contract, up 1.75 cents a bushel at 7.24.5. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region had 58,400 head, and very close to what they had last week, 54,900 head. Not quite as many as the same week a year ago, 64,500 head. But your live steers and heifers, the few we see sell negotiated in the 5-area, bring from 178 to 187. That was steady to a buck lower. There was 6,900 head at the bottom of that price range at 178. Only 840 head at the 187. Your weighted average on live steers was 182.50. That was down a quarter. Your dress sales had a price range in the 5-area negotiated basis from 288 to 294. That was kind of unevenly steady there on your price range, but your weighted average is going to be quite a bit lower. But 1,750 head at the 288, only 900 at the 294. Most of the cattle brought 290, with 6,400 of them. and your weighted average on dressed steers was $290.39, down $2.36. So most of the trade was on the lower end of the price range there. But overall, Texas's market was steady at what, 179. Kansas was steady to a buck lower at mostly 178, feud at 179. So Northern Plains was $1 to $3 lower live, with Nebraska mostly at 182, Iowa from 183 to 185, and dress sales in the Northern Plains $2 to $3 lower at 290. Now nationwide, we had 68,800 head pure negotiated. Negotiated grid was 39,600. Forward contract was 23,600 head, and formula sales with no price discovery was 280,100. Of the negotiated sales in the nation is 68,800. About 35% of those were for the 15 to 30 day delivery, but we're going into a lighter holiday week, so that's kind of to be expected. But talk about your sales on Tuesday. We did have some sales on Tuesday. Iowa about 300 head at 183. Nebraska about 150 head at 288. Kansas and Texas did not have anything. Got a lot to talk about. Didn't have a lot at Yankton at Stockman's Livestock Market. Market was kind of steady to weak there on conventional cattle, selling in the low 180s. They did have some program cattle up into the mid 190s there, but it was a lighter trade there too because of the holiday weekend. Box beef cutout values were mixed. Choice cuts were up 99 cents at $315.48. Selects down 54 cents at $289.54 on Tuesday afternoon. Slaughter just the one day, because they were closed on Monday, 131,000. That's exactly the same as the same day a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Legends Bank. If you guys are looking for fast and efficient cattle lending, get a hold of Greg Brooks or Ricky Taylor. They will give you a personal service that you'll like, taking great pride in relationship lending and being quick and responsive, which is very important. I know you guys run into a deal and you need to know where you're at in a hurry. They understand that. They understand the markets. They understand how fast they change, and they do a really good job there. Remember that Legends Bank is a member of FDIC. All loans are subject to credit approval, and Legend Bank is a true and equal housing lender. For more information, go to legend.bank. Also, MLS tubs. They're some of your best tubs out there, and they have high performance, low moisture, cooked molasses tubs. They provide controlled and consistent supplement delivery for your cattle. We always talk about a distributor spotlight. Your September spotlight is going to be on a distributor in Arkansas. Powell Feed and Milling Company in Siloam Springs, Arkansas is the spotlight distributor for MLS tubs. For more information, go to mlstubs.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 248.20. That was up 12 cents from the end of last week. Had some pretty good sales on Tuesday. Talk about them. How about Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri? 2,400 head through the ring. Another 500 head through their in-house video. They do with help from DVAuction. They are a DVAuction broadcaster every sale. And the yearling feeder steers were $4 lower. And it was well tested because they had a long string of the same man's cattle that weighed just about the same, and they bring $4 less. Other than that, didn't have a big test of yearling feeder steers, and yearling feeder heifers were not well tested at all. Your calves were $2 to $4 lower. That string of steers that I was telling you about, there was 224 head of them, weighed 919 and bring 231.50. Your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day was the Feeder Flash Beaver Clash at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. 3,400 head. They underestimated, had more cattle coming in, even though in that part of the country it was hot on Labor Day Monday. They thought it would limit the cattle, but they went ahead and brought them in, some of them coming in late while we were giving the presentation there from Fairpeace. But a lot of good cattle in there, mostly yearlings, and a lot of them straight off grass. They have had a lot of rain in there late this summer. But it was a good market. I'm going to give you some rundowns here. You look at this automated marker report from Cattle Market Central. You look at your best tested weights, mostly on steers. How about 275 head of 6-weight steers, average 639 pounds with a weighted average price of $264.71. 285 head of 7-weight steers, average 729 at $261.11. 1,155 head of 8-weight steers, that's right, 1,155 head of 8-weight steers in Beaver, Oklahoma, had a weighted average weight of 855, weighted average price of $246.10. 391 head of 9-weight steers in Beaver, average 935 at $244.25. Including in that was a consignment from Ratcliffe's, and they were all natural NHT steers, yearling steers. Beaver County Stockyards is an approved and accredited sale barn of these program cattle, the all natural cattle, the NHTC cattle. They keep the paperwork straight, can get it all done. If you guys up in the northern plains are looking for cattle like that, check out Beaver County Stockyards as they're running these yearlings. A lot of times they'll have some of these all natural cattle there. They were beautiful blacks, 144 head of them, all natural, NHTC approved. They weighed 936 and bring 249. Look on the heifers. They had one group of heifers weighed 283, or 283 heifers weighed 766, at 236.89. Let's talk about some other individual quotes around. How about Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri? They had a really good heifer market there, guys. And these would be feeder heifers. 88 head of fancy black feeder heifers weighed 646 and bring 274.10. That's steer price, guys, on the heifers in Macon, Missouri. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, Kentucky? That's the flagship location right there. Beautiful stockyard there. And they had a big sale there. How about 155 steers weighed 738 and bring 269.75 in Lexington, Kentucky. But Kimball Livestock Exchange, when they have a feeder sale, I mean, they're hard to top. Jim Waring sold 641 head of black and black baldy steers. They had an average weight of 867 pounds. They sold them 3 to 4 loads at a time. They had an average price of $261.47. But the most impressive quote that I saw really anywhere on Tuesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, also come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. It was 120 head of new crop steer calves. They weighed 426 pounds and bring 360.50. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.